Well, good morning, ladies. I'm super excited to be able to speak today, so thank you. Lindsay and Andrea, thank you so much. I'd inquired about speaking, and my table leader, Emily, mentioned to Lindsay that I have a blog, so Lindsay checked it out, and she saw what was then my most recent blog post. It was titled, Lessons Learned from a Health Crisis. So I'm going to go over those today. First, I want to give a little background. Now, I have discussion notes on each of your tables. That's nothing to look through right now. I'll go over it when I'm finished. A little bit of background. I have a history of depression that dates back to around 2005, and I've been on medication on and off for that. And this past fall, I experienced a pretty serious episode. I had been slowly declining due to a variety of factors: lack of sleep, stress of caring for an infant and a toddler, stress of launching a mama coaching business, a history of and predisposition to mental illness, postpartum issues, all that. So I had a lot working against me. So my doctor prescribed me the same medications that I had used in the past, but I had just gotten too depressed up until that point. And I was really devastated that I was going to need to wean my son in order to get better. I went into the hospital for about 3 days. And then a little while after that, I entered an outpatient day treatment program. It's at Good Samaritan Hospital. And these beautiful pieces right here, I made in the program. I'm super excited about them, and I'll be using them throughout today. During the time I was sick, I lived at my parents' house. I was barely able to function, and the stress of just being around my kids, let alone taking care of them, it was too much. So I lived at my parents' house for a little over a month. Afterwards, I transitioned back home, back to staying at home, caring for my kids, and I was able to refocus my efforts on my business. So I'm going to talk about some of the lessons that I learned during that time. First of all, we have to take care of ourselves. We absolutely have to take care of ourselves, ladies, because if we don't, we can't take care of our kids. And unfortunately, I have a chronic disease, and that kind of puts a little kink in taking care of myself. I thought I could take care of myself. I had this list that I'd made maybe a year and a half prior of what I would do if I started to notice any of my symptoms of depression creeping back up. So it was things like make sure I'm getting exercise, and I'm telling people, and accountability and support, doing things that I enjoy, being around friends and family, getting enough sleep. But none of that was happening, and it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough to keep me going. And I eventually asked for help, and I sought recovery. And then after that, I was able to take care of myself again. Like I said, we have to take care of ourselves, whatever that looks like, and then we're in a better place to take care of our kids. Now, next thing is let other people help you. Psalm 34:17 states, "The Lord hears his people when they call to him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles." Now, help comes in different forms. I did not want to go back on medication, so I didn't ask for help soon enough. I feared losing breastfeeding so much. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was so determined because I was going to make it to 2 years, and it was going to be awesome, and this bonding moment and experience and all the good things for my son and all the good things for me that we would get through breastfeeding. But I was so determined that I got to the point that I would either seek treatment or my son could possibly lose his mom. Yikes. So I went ahead and I asked for help, and I sought treatment. And God made this wonderful medication available to me, and he made treatment available for me. And I think a lot of times we go, God, please heal me, and like, just God, please heal me, make this go away. But God heals in different ways. And While I didn't want to go on medication, that was how he was going to heal me. Medication, a treatment program, and wonderful, wonderful friends and family. There in the back, we have my mom and dad, my wonderful husband, and my good friend, Stephanie. Jeremy, his world was basically turned upside down when this happened. One day I was home taking care of the kids, doing my thing. The next day I was in the hospital. So his world turned upside down. And all of a sudden he's waking up early in the morning. He's getting himself ready, getting the kids ready, taking them to a sitter, going for a full day of work, leaving work, getting the kids, coming home, doing all the laundry, doing all the dishes, doing a lot of the things that I was able to take care of during the day. And then he's putting the kids to bed, doing some other things, and going to bed. And that is, just like that, his life went from one thing to another. And that was hard on him. That was really hard on him. So, Jeremy, I thank you so much. My mom, she essentially goes from, her life, and hers pretty much got turned upside down too, because she essentially brought a child home. Because this is what our days looked like. She would wake me up in the morning, pretty much drag me out of bed, make me eat, and get me out of the house. We would take walks at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and it was cold, and I was so mad. I was like, Mom, leave me alone. I just want to go to bed. But she knew that's what I needed, and she did all those things and made those sacrifices for me. And Mom, thank you so much. Dad, again, you got a kid coming to live at your house, and you're like, wait a minute, all my kids are supposed to be out of the house. And I'm so appreciative of my dad's help and his support. And he drove me to treatment every single morning while I was in the Good Sam program, and brought me home almost every day. My mom and my sister picked me up a couple days, but he took the load of that, and it's a lot of time in the mornings, and he supported me however he could. Dad, thank you. My friend Stephanie, she taught me what unconditional love looks like in a friendship. She, along with Jeremy, visited me in the hospital. Between the two of them, they made sure that I had someone there during every single space for visiting hours. And Stephanie, she brought me an adult coloring book, she brought me pencils, and this awesome gluten-free vegan food, and I was super excited because the food there was horrible. And so just this support, and not only did she visit me in the hospital, she visited me afterwards. And I didn't want to be around anyone, I didn't want to see anyone. I was a really, really unpleasant person to be around, but she came and she showed up and she was there and she supported me and she listened to me say the same thing over and over again and worry about the same things over and over again because my mind was just going through all this mess. But she knew and she understood what I was going through, and she showed me that unconditional love that to that magnitude I had yet to experience in a friendship, and it was amazing. So Stephanie, thank you so much for that. And I don't know what help looks like for everyone here. We may have wonderful support from family. We may have great support from friends, from our church family. Whatever that looks like, lean into them whenever you're going through anything difficult. We gotta lean into each other and anyone else who's available to us. Now, when people do help you, take a chill pill. When I was sick, we needed extra help, and things may not have been done the way I wanted them to, but my kids were cared for. My kids were cared for, and that's what was important. Because as moms, we go like, nobody can do anything as well as I do, because I'm the best, because I'm perfect, and I'm awesome, and nobody can do anything as good as I can. But if we're looking for perfection, we're in for a very stressful and really a very isolated life. We're allowed to be weak. We are allowed to be weak. I thought I could handle things on my own. And by admitting that I needed help, admitting that I needed medication, I thought that I was accepting defeat because I was too weak. We're allowed to seek help. Pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, it's not always reasonable, not always possible. So we need to seek the help and the support of other people. Now, whatever crisis, whatever challenge that you're facing, ladies, know that some way, somehow, God can redeem it. I didn't believe this. Nope. I cried out to God so many times. Why? Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? I remember sitting in a church service, and they were showing this video of all the amazing things that Crossroads is doing locally and around the globe. And normally, I would see these things, and I'd shed a tear or a few because I would be so inspired and so excited, and I loved seeing everything that we were doing. But I was sitting in the church service, and I started sobbing. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? And I realized that I was crying because I didn't care. I didn't care that we were doing all of these awesome things. I didn't feel that feeling that I normally would when I would see these incredible things. And so I just started sobbing, and I looked at Jeremy, and I grabbed the keys, and I ran to the car before service even let out. And I sat in the car, and I sobbed. Now, when I went on medication and was hospitalized, just like that, I had to cold turkey wean my son. And once the medication kicked in and started doing its job, but once that numbness of depression kind of started to lift, I was absolutely devastated. I was devastated because in my mind, I had lost my son. I lost that connection. I would never be able to connect with him again, and I kind of felt useless. I felt useless because I lost that. So I sat in the car sobbing, and I was screaming. I was screaming to God, why? Why, God? How are you going to redeem this? Because I didn't believe it was possible. No, absolutely not. But the thing is, he did redeem it. I know how much it's overused, but I would not be the stronger and the wiser person that I am now if I hadn't been through that. And now that I'm doing better and sleeping better, I am more available to my kids. I'm more available to my family, to my husband, and I have the energy to live life again and be able to focus my time and more energy on growing my business. So all of these things came through this, and by being able to refocus energy on my business, I'm able to help more moms, which I'm so passionate about. So these good things came from this, and God truly did redeem it. And no, the situation wasn't good, but God healed me. Medication, medical professionals, friends, family, and the strength and wisdom that I gained was very, very good. I have two sisters who were amazing during this time. One of them, Laura, she drove me from treatment a couple times and got me out of the house, took me out to eat, helped me to get some things done, and gave my mom a break a couple times because she needed it. And then my sister Carolyn, who was 12 hours on the other side of the globe teaching in Thailand, she would FaceTime me. Again, even when I didn't want to talk to anybody, when I didn't want to be bothered, she would make sure that she checked in with me, and it was huge. It was absolutely huge. And through all of that, I learned that light can shine through our suffering. John 16:33 says, I have told you all this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart because I have overcome the world. Whatever your situation is, God can. He can redeem it. And we do have to remember, things aren't always going to be okay. We live in a broken world. This little box here, I made in treatment for my daughter. She was turning 3. The paint job is absolutely pathetic. A 4-year-old could do better than I did. But as I sat there making this, I'm like, this is for my daughter. It's going to be cute. She's 3. She's not going to know it's pathetic. And I was telling myself, okay, remember, the whole thing in our program was no judgment. We don't judge ourselves. We don't judge each other. So I thought, okay, I am not going to judge myself for this pathetic paint job. So I took it home, and I gave it to my daughter, and she was like, okay, cool. And then there was so much Sophia the First stuff there that she kind of forgot about it, because she's obsessed with Sophia the First. But I noticed over the next couple days, she was playing with it and putting stuff in it, having a good time. Within a week, she broke it. I was like, wow, okay. Geez, fine. And it's broken, and we live in a broken world. We live in a fallen world. So things aren't always going to be okay. Because some people want to look at you and say, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. It'll be okay. I promise it'll be okay. But situations aren't going to be okay. They're not always going to be okay. Natural disasters happen. People face unspeakable diagnoses, and people die. Things turn out not okay. But remember, God, He can bring good from devastation if we open our hearts to the lessons that He can teach us, and if we open our arms to the warmth of His Son's embrace. Now, it's okay. It's okay to not feel God's presence when you're going through some type of crisis. Some feel His presence more than they ever have. Other people wonder where in the world He went. I didn't feel His presence. No, not at all. Nope. But looking back, I recognize His Spirit in me. I had all these bad and these scary thoughts when I was sick, and I wanted to keep those inside. I didn't want to share them. Partially because I thought I was going to be sent to the hospital again. And hey, crazy pants, we can't take care of you anymore. We're going to send you back to the hospital. So I didn't want to share those because I was just scared. I was scared. But looking back now, even though I didn't recognize it at the time, God's Spirit in me was convicting me and telling me, Tricia, you have to share these things. You have to share these things because this is what's going to keep you safe. This is what's going to get you through. And so I was honest. I was completely honest with my family about everything that I was feeling, everything that I was thinking, no matter how much it hurt or how much it scared me. God's always there. If you run from Him, He'll patiently wait. God will never leave you nor forsake you. Now this stool right here, I'm super proud of it. I'm really, really excited about it. I think it was the first day I went into this group. I was flipping through this kind of picture album of the things that we could work on, and I'm going through, and I was looking to see if this was there. One of my sisters had made the exact same stool in the same program 10 years ago. And I thought, hey, it'd be super cool if we had a pair, right? That'd be neat. So I'm flipping through, and I see the picture, and I'm like, oh, crap. they still have it, so I have to do it. And I asked the guy, I said, do you have this thing right here? Do you have the materials for it? I'm like, please say no, please say no, please say no. And he said, yeah, right over here, let's get it. We'll get you, you'll stain the wood, and then you'll assemble it, and then we'll start working on the twine. I don't want to do it. But I wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted to prove to myself, like, yeah, I can do this. But I looked at the picture, and I looked at the other ones that were displayed, and I thought, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get to the end of this? Because it was too complicated, no way. But I took it one step at a time. I got help from the gentleman that ran that group. It was great, he was awesome. And there was another guy in the same group that was working on the same project. So we kind of looked at each other's, helped each other out. He taught me how to do, I think it's called a square knot, maybe. He taught me how to do a square knot. I'll never be able to do one again. I was able to do it maybe 3 times on this. And because I looked at that and the instructions say square knot, and I'm like, oh, I got nothing. So he helped me, thanks Eagle Scout, I appreciate it. And each of ours turned out differently, but we both made it through. I made it through, I did it. And I made it through the depression. We can't be so overwhelmed by the big picture that we freeze, and we can't see the next step ahead of us. So take it one step at a time. Let other people help you. Come alongside people who have faced what you've gone through or something similar, and come alongside people who are facing something that you're going through. Pray to God, call out to God, scream to him if you have to, because he's there, and you'll get through. You will get through. I want to pray for us, and then I'll talk about that discussion guide that I have on your table. Dear God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a good, good Father. I thank you for these moms, these awesome moms that are raising the next generation to spread your kingdom, to be your kingdom here on earth, God. I ask you to give us peace and strength to face whatever struggles that we're going through, whether they're present or future struggles. Help us to keep our eyes on you, God. And help us to remember your promise from Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Thank you, God. You are so good. Amen.